Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakah Kwadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere care. And this video really is for, Jake here in Nigeria. Not Jake here in Nigeria, but Jake in Nigeria, you so-called Negroes or the Israelites that are scattered in Nigeria, because you always hear in Nigeria how these Negroes they pick up Esau Edom, especially Babylon the Great, because a lot of these nations, right, and a lot of our people that are still in the world are still so heavy, you're drinking so heavily drinking the wine of Babylon the Great, and believe that Babylon is still the greatest country in the world, that it's the center of excellence and justice, how that go, truth, freedom, and the American way, right? And a lot of people in the world still believe in that bullshit. They still drink up all the propaganda that America, pushes throughout the world so readily. And this is just showing you right here that even your great old America, your lovely America, which at the end of the day it is Babylon the Great, even Babylon the Great, is still very much as corrupt and as wicked as any other nation on the earth, including Nigeria. Because you ask a Nigerian, they'll tell you that, oh, this is the worst country in the world, even though there are lots of other countries, specifically there's some other countries that are having it far worse than Nigeria, but how Jake is, right? But anyway, let's just read a little bit of this article right here. Disqualified Tinubu over identity theft, certificate forgery. Huriwa tells Supreme Court, and the background for this. Let's read a little bit of this article and see if it gives you the explanation for this, because if you pay attention to Nigerian politics, you know that Tinubu, or rather Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the new president of Nigeria, which we recently had our elections this year, the beginning of this year, January to February. I did videos going into it and talking about the different candidates, and the winner ended up being this individual right here. You see his picture, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and recently there has been a scandal going around concerning him, right? Because it is already a well-known, fact that allegedly, okay, this individual had the elections rigged in his favor. So basically, used corruption and rigging in order to win the votes and win his election. So now another controversy has come up, and which is what we are reading about right now. The Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, HURIWA, has urged the Supreme Court of Nigeria to disqualify President Bola Tinubu from office or compel him to resign over his alleged identity theft and certificate forgery. Huriwa made this call in a press statement following the revelation that the academic record from Southwest College, which Tinubu used in gaining admission into Chicago State University, CSU, belonged to a woman. And the background for this, or rather the story about this, is that the certificate that the president claimed that was his own, that showed that he had graduated from university, right? They had graduated from a college in the US, specifically CSU, which is a Chicago State University. That it turned out that that certificate to another Bola A. Tinubu, so the same name was actually belonged to a woman, not just anyone, but a U.S. citizen, a female U.S. citizen that was already married. And there's a whole lot of details that the mainstream media isn't really covering. But the main point being that the certificate that he submitted to the electoral board in order to show that he had graduated university or as proof of education was a forgery, and is actually belonged to somebody else with the same name. All right, so now that is being seen as, now it is supposed to be seen as fraud. Him, giving, it's supposed to be basically false identity, which is what he used to gain he gain his candidacy for the election and subsequently win that election. So now you are seeing different appeals being sent to the Supreme Court here in Nigeria that they should revoke or bring revoke or impeach the current president of Nigeria, right? In order because of the identity fraud, right, that he used when he was that he used in this because he lied about his education, basically, he lied about his certificates and his qualifications. And that is the whole thing right here. And that's basically the whole argument that is being made right here. Okay, but continuing on. The Society Civil Group said that the documents released by CSU to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was challenging Tinubu's victory in the February 25th presidential election in a U.S. court, showed that Tinubu was enrolled as a female student with the name Bola Adekunle Tinubu. Right, so like I said, he had the same name for the most part. The only difference was the one of the initial, which is the A. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Bola Adekunle Tinubu. But the point being, let's get the main point being this: that you see that Esau Edom is confederate is conspiring with the leaders of our people, okay, in order to keep our people oppressed. And whenever Jake talks about the corruption that is in Nigeria, right? Whenever you hear so-called Negroes here in Nigeria talking about the corruption in Nigeria, they'll be talking about how, over there, Babylon the Great and other parts of the world, other Edomite nations, that there is no corruption at all. Election is free and fair, government works like it's supposed to, or if you see a pothole, you fix it that if there's a pothole or any failure of the infrastructure, it will be fixed that instant. Then if anything, if the electricity goes out, it's fixed the next day, and different things like that. And the government works for the people and all that. Jake is always bigging up all these Edomite nations and all these first world countries because really they believe all the appearances and everything that is put, all the propaganda that Esau, pushes to make it seem like though, if you are in these first world countries, if you are in the West, you are living the dream. But what you people, what you jakes, okay, don't realize is that, whether you are in the West, whether you are in whatever part of the world that you are, as long as you are an Israelite, you are still going to be oppressed, and the curses are still going to be on you. And Esau Edom is making sure that those curses stay on our people. Right? Esau Edom is making sure that our people stay oppressed. So let me get this precept first. Now, as it is written, feed the flock of the slaughter. Let's get that. So this is the book of Zechariah 11 verse 4. Thus saith Yahweh my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, and the flock of the slaughter is you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. And this is the condition that people are in right now. Your possessors, of course, being Esau, the so-called white man, the so-called red man, ruling over the earth, and your shepherds being these people that they have put over you as your rulers. And if you come to Nigeria, you ask JK Nigeria, they'll tell you that Tinubu is not my president, that they did not want to vote him in. But that does not matter, right? Your say in whether you or not you get a president does not matter, because at the end of the day, you chose this. You chose this democratic government and election situation where you decided that you wanted to vote a leader in rather than trusting the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Because I still remember very clearly during that election period how I was making videos, multiple videos going into the same topic. Vote of no confidence, not to put your trust in these elected officials, not to put your trust in these people, but to rather put your trust in the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and to repent and to come back to the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But Jake would rather, trust in Esau Edom. Jake would rather trust in Esau, Edoms, and his system. This is what it means when it says worshiping the beast and his image, right? When you are trusting in Esau, Edom's system, you are following the doctrine of Esau, Edom, you know. And this is exactly what you should expect from these elections, right? Because this is the president that was given to you. Like I said before, you don't elect the president because the people really don't have that power. The president is chosen by the elites of Esau Edom. And you see how the US government is conspired together with this president that you currently have on a seat in office, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to put him in that position to the point where they even forged a certificate for him. Okay, why did the Chicago State University forge a certificate that belonged to somebody else for this individual for the president to use in order to get into, in order to get himself elected, to get in that position to be elected? Why did the United States government, purge the records of the current president being a drug dealer? Okay, this is all because they are really. This is all because these politicians, these candidates, the president himself is a puppet set up by Esau Edom to control and oppress our people. Which is why, as soon as you had this dude come into power, the inflation in the country skyrocketed. He removed the fuel subsidy and plunged the country into complete chaos. I was still in Nigeria when it happened, man. Shit hit the fan, literally. You know, everything went upside down. The price of everything just shot up. Fuel was, I don't even know how much it fuel is right now in Nigeria. Could possibly be even higher than it was when I left, and it got ridiculous it got ridiculous in that country, and things are still getting worse to this day because the economy of Nigeria is currently is currently collapsing. That's your other app KO, basically Hegelian dialectic at work, and eventually the solution to the issues in Nigeria were brought up, and you already know what that solution really would lead to, because this is all just more of the algorithm to go into the MOTB. This is all just Esau Edom setting up his mark, sitting up and getting ready to push his mark on the people, right? The MOTB. That's what this is really all about. But I just continue what we're talking about here, which is the fact that the elites of Esau Edom and these sellouts of our people are in league together in order to, basically just let's appreciate. Now this. Basically just spoil our people, right? But really spoil all you people that are still in the world, because all you get from trusting in Esau, trusting in Egypt, and trusting in these puppets that Esau sets up for you is your own destruction. That is why you still see. That's why you are still suffering, even under the. That's why you are suffering under the reign of Tinubu right now. That's why no matter what president that you select up there in Babylon the Great, our people are still suffering. Jake is still going through it, and it's actually very, very telling that this thing happened at the time that it did, because you have the United States presidential elections coming up soon, and Jake over there in Babylon the Great are about to make the same mistake that Jake here in Nigeria made, which is believing that their votes matter and that their votes count, right? Because at the end of the day, it's either going to be Biden or Trump. And from everything that you've seen so far, that both of them are controlled by the elites of Esau Edom. So it doesn't really matter who gets put in the presidency at the end of the day. The agendas of Esau Edom, the so-called red man, is going to be pushed either way. That's really all that matters. That's really what all this quote-unquote democratic system is about. So let's continue reading this article. So Horiwa described this as a shocking and shameful case of identity theft and certificate forgery, which has exposed Tinubu as a fraud and liar who has deceived Nigerians for decades. The human rights group said that Tinubu has no moral or legal rights to continue to occupy the highest office in the land, having violated the constitution and the electoral laws of Nigeria. They also accused Tinubu of being involved in other criminal activities such as drug trafficking, which I've already mentioned that the US government was, they completely scrubbed his record of being a drug dealer in the US and money laundering, which reminds me of a time, during Trump's presidency that Trump released a list of all the people that had been laundering money in the US from Nigeria, citing some documents purportedly obtained from the US authorities that linked him to these offenses. And you have information like that because a lot of these politicians and these your quote unquote leaders, whether it's the politicians and even these mega church pastors and even these celebrities as well, they've all sold out to Esau Edom, which is why they are being pushed as the leaders of our people. And as it seems, our people would have it so because you don't really see Jake complaining or Jake rejecting these people, but rather, whatever, but rather, Jake is, fully accepting of the these puppets that are put before you, and look at the ruin that they have brought to our people. Right, so let me get this. So this is the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Let me close out with this because it's the precept that came to my mind when I saw the conclusion of this whole scandal, because this has been going on for months. They accused Tinubu of forging his university certificate, right? And they did the investigation. The investigation has been going on for months, and now it has been confirmed that Chicago State University aided Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, in forging his certificates. And we're going to see what happens from there. That's all you can really say. So this is the book of Psalms 83 verse 1. Psalm 83 verse 2. For know thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden one. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. And the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederates against thee. And the reason why I read that precept is because of the conspiracy that is at work here, right? Because the US government that you jakes are always bigging up, you jakes are always celebrating and talking about how there's so much justice and equality and fairness in it. The US government was responsible in making sure that Tinubu became the president, right? The US government was also responsible in forging his documents to ensure that he gets into that position and that role. Really, it's the US government that gave the new president the power that he has currently. It's Esau, Edom, Babylon, and its other Babylon and its other allies, which is great, which is the UK, that's France, and all these other Edomite first world nations that are trying to exploit Jake, especially Jake here in Africa, right? The West African Jakes, right? So with that, I'll just end the video right here. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh. Ba'asham Yahawashai, Ba'asham Raka Kwadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit of your Akyam, and you are quite edified. Shalom.